Well, I think first of all it's important to say that this is my way of being an activist. And I used to kind of chide myself because I wasn't, joining environmental voluntary organizations in town and all that kind of stuff. And I've tried that, and for some reason that just doesn't work for me in terms of who I am. So it is my way of being an activist. There are students that I had 5 years ago that still send me articles on environmental issues over email. And there's students that I've had that I've argued with and that were anti-environment. Well, I don't know if anybody's really anti-environment, but they weren't really sold on environmental issues being important. But I've had students come to me after the fact and say, I know you're not going to believe this, but I've become an environmentalist. And I have students that say, how can I work in this field? I had one this week. And I'm not quite sure exactly how to answer that question yet, but I had some ideas for this person. And one idea was to find a corporation that's doing really good environmental and sustainability work and apply there. And you'll start out as the grunt accountant, but you may have an opportunity to move up. So how do I connect with the students? I think that that there's students in there who are just kind of waiting to find something really exciting that they can think about. And it's not that, I wouldn't ever say that accounting is boring. Accounting is not boring, although sometimes from the external I think, oh, it's just about numbers and reports and journal entries and all that kind of stuff. But I think they're really amazed at how fascinating and intricate the field of accounting can be. And this is just one example, but I think it's a really good example. And we live in the Pacific Northwest where it's beautiful. And so in some ways we take that for granted, and in some ways I think we know that a place like this is something to preserve. And that if there's environmental damage being done, we get concerned about that. I've had some students that were hard sells, and if you look at some of the student comments, there's some in there that I showed because I think those are really the most interesting student comments. Do you preach to the choir or do you preach to a group of people that have never really thought about these issues in the way we can think about them? And preaching to the choir is always easy. You get a lot of nods and I've got a really good class this quarter. They're very enthusiastic. Lots of people participate. And I know there's a few out there that aren't totally into it. And I'm not quite sure how to reach those students. But I think mostly the reaction has been really good. When I became department chair, I realized that teaching this course is almost more than I can do. And I said to one of my colleagues, I'm thinking about not teaching it next year. And he says, what? You can't not teach that class. You have to teach that class. So I thought, oh, okay, I have to teach the class. I have to teach the class, okay? Or I have to find somebody that's going to teach it. And right now, I don't have that person. I think that the College of Business and Economics and the accounting department are poised to do more to integrate sustainability into the curriculum throughout the whole curriculum. We're not quite there, but I think we need to be there. There's lots of debate, argument, etc. on a variety of topics in accounting and business as to whether or not you need a standalone course or do you need integration. I am a believer of both. I think a standalone course is great, and integrating it throughout the curriculum is also really important.